Hey guys, I hope everybody's doing well. This is just a little help video for N.1 Interpret bar graphs, line graphs, and histograms, one of your first assignments to do online. So first thing you want to make sure that you do is one, read the whole question, because a lot of times we try to jump to conclusions of what they're going to answer and we make silly mistakes. So first, the science teacher informed her students of the scores on Monday's test. So then you would want to look at your graph and kind of interpret it and get a good understanding of what it's saying. So across the top you have your title, your science test scores. Down the side we have number of students, and across the bottom we have our score range. So for this graph, people that received a test score of a 0 to 9, there were 70 students that received that score. If we wanted to know between 10 and 19, a score of 10 to 19, we would follow that up, and 80 students received that score. So that means that this bar represents anybody that got a 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Everybody that falls within that range would be in this graph. Okay? So now we're going to look at the question. How many students scored between 30 and 39 points? So for this one, it asks for a score. So we're going to go to our score of a 30 to a 39. And then we look at where the graph ends, which is right here, which matches with 60. So 60 students scored that. The next question. Some teachers compared how many students are in their classes. So again, interpret the graph first. We have our class size. We have the teachers' names. So we have Ms. Jones, Mr. Watson, and Mrs. Novak. Across the bottom, number of students. So we can look at Mrs. Novak. She had 20 students. Mr. Watson had 30 students. Mrs. Jones had 45 students. So as you scroll down to the question, it says, how many students does Mrs. Jones have? So we're going to narrow in on Mrs. Jones and determine how many students she had. So you go back up to your graph. Mrs. Jones had 45 students. Again, a sports network displayed the number of Olympic medals won by certain countries over time. So first interpret our graph, titled Olympic medals. Down this side we have number of medals. Now be careful here because we have two different colors. Green represents 1984, blue represents 1988. And across the bottom we have our countries. In 1984, which of the countries shown won the fewest medals? So we want to make sure we narrow in on the year, 1984, which is represented by the green bar. Then we want to know which one won the fewest medals. So our green bar is the lowest in green for Sweden. So the biggest thing to remember with this is a pretty straightforward interpreting graphs, is just remember that we are taking the time to really read the graph, pay attention to the title, pay attention to what's on the y-axis and the x-axis, so we don't make any silly mistakes as far as answering too quickly with this one. All right, guys, have a great day.